Hi everyone, happy summer solstice. I made a video about the summer solstice yesterday and I finally got it up and posted today. And I also wanted to introduce my front cover of my new book, The New Jerusalem's Blood Moon Code, because there is a moon code, and all the history on the ley lines in retrospect to our reality that's happening now with the Paris Olympics coming up and everything that's going on with the election, and how all this is one big loop of Pluto's return from 247 years ago. So check it out, and I'll talk about the index of my book later in this video, and here's my little chat in the woods from yesterday. Hi guys! Oh my god, I can't believe I'm finally doing a video. Sorry, I just basically changed my whole life. I'm hardly ever on the internet anymore, and I feel like I've completed my great work in regards to getting the book finished, and I have it up on my website now, so you can go check it out. And I'll go through all the chapters later in this video and show you what it all entails and how important this year is. And actually, this summer solstice is a huge part of the journey of 2024 with the Olympics in Paris, and how that all integrates to the history of the Templars, okay, and how the whole effect of the Patriot movement with the French supporting that back in the day, and how we're completing that whole cycle. Pluto is back in the same spot as when the American Revolution was happening, and we're right back there again, you know. So what's going on in the media is all part of the cycle of finding your freedom, you know, and what that really entails and what we're being asked to do. So the ley lines are all part of that. So I'm sitting on a ley line right now, and the energies are getting more intense. I don't know if you guys have been feeling that, but for me, people are really showing who they are, like where their morals are. Are they kind of more following the masses, or are you kind of going back to nature and finding the garden, right? Finding the Garden of Eden. So this summer solstice with the full moon is going to really have intense energies pulling, okay, because of the sun being at its highest helical performance of the year. It's on the solstice, it's at its highest point. And if you look up in the sky, if you have the opportunity to see the night sky, you'll see the Northern Cross right at the top of the Milky Way. And this is really important, right? Because it has to do with biblical prophecies, and also John the Baptist, and how he was 6 months older than Jesus. And this all ties into the solstices. And the full moon happening on the solstice is, the moon is it's in its glory, right? You want always plant your seeds when you have a new moon, and then the full moon, you have the fruition of that, right? And so you want to kind of be outside on the solstice to take in the energies of the full moon when the sun is at its highest peak, because we got the moon at its fullness, and then we have the sun at its highest peak. So the polarity of the divine feminine and the divine masculine is going to be really intense, okay, at this time. So the whole part of my book was I started mapping lunar eclipses, and I found a mathematical repetitive code in the blood moons, okay? And I've never heard anybody else explain this. It was just me and my perseverance of understanding the math of the moon, because the math of the moon, it returns to its same spot in the sky around every 19 years, okay? So there is a math code in the moon, just simply with that. It's called the metonic cycle of the moon. But there's also a blood moon pattern that I've never heard of anybody tell it, because it's over a great span of time. but not really that big amount of time when we start to think about Pluto's cycle, right? Coming back every 247 years. So there's a huge importance to these blood moons, and biblical people know that, but they don't understand at what time of year is important, okay? So I did this whole journey. It took me about a year and a half, and went through some huge personal changes going through this book. I lost a really good friend. I lost my 14-year-old relationship. I started something new on my property to kind of recycle energies and to start to build again, right? And so now I'm starting to manifest different things in my life, more connected to earth and gardening. So I've been, mad person gardening, doing farm work, which is never ending in the spring times, but I'm starting to catch up. So this is why I'm back on and I'm here. Okay, and, I haven't disappeared. If anybody needs a reading, I'm still available. You just need to drop me an email. But I feel everybody is kind of pulling away from the media and getting back to their roots. And that's really comforting to see. I really appreciate that more and more people are kind of separating themselves from the trauma that they're trying to put on us all the time. And I think even I saw the US debates posted on CNN. One is on June 27th. That's really important, okay, why they put it there. And I think the next one they're doing is September 10th. And that's interesting as well, with the numbers and where the sun is in the sky. It's close to the ascension stars Abhijava around the beginning of September. So there's lots of interesting things, lots of drama going on, and if you want to get involved in that and kind of be detached at the same time, that's great. Just see it as a big game. But I wouldn't get yourself emotionally involved in all that political stuff right now, because it's about finding yourself. And I don't know if you guys have found this out, but people are showing their trueness, right? Like, what is true to them? Are they more attached to the material world? Are they more attached to the spiritual world? Are they more, who's grounded, who's not? It's everything is showing itself right now, and it's because the energies are getting more intense. We've had some interesting energies coming through, and I just feel that things are just, whatever you need will be on your path if you're in that frequency that you need to be in. And that's what's happening to me. Things are like falling out of the sky. Just not talking about immense wealth or anything, just things I need. When you need something, it'll just show up. It's little stuff like that, and then you understand, that you're really on the frequency of being protected. So that's really, biblical prophecy. Those that know are protected, and we're just the witnesses of all this. So, but the book is really explaining how the history of the Templars all ties, into Paris and everything, and the importance of Paris and the Olympics there. And they're using the Jupiter alchemic symbol as the logo. And then I explained before, the athletes have to sign into the Zeus portal. Zeus is Jupiter, right? So Jupiter is very, very important. And who is Jupiter? What does he rule? He rules the soles of your feet in Pisces, right? He rules your dark night of your soul, your whole spiritual journey, the 12th house, everything that's hidden, that has to come out of, that's hiding. And that's what I'm starting to notice, like things are showing itself. The people are showing who they really are. Nothing is hidden anymore. It's very obvious, And so Jupiter also rules the thighs. And if you, alchemically, this part of your body, your legs, is ruled by Jupiter and Saturn, okay? So Jupiter is your higher mind, the 9th house going up. And then, the work that you have to do is ruled by getting on your knees and working and being like the goat, right? That's Capricorn. And then you slide down when you're the rebel. You're kind of not in this realm anymore. You're Aquarius. And then out your feet, Pisces, to be grounded, to walk barefoot in the forest. And to be able to take on those energies. But what's fascinating is that there's ley lines that are mapped out over eastern North America, and the one ley line has more trauma on it than the other one. Okay, so you'll find that all out in my book. I'm only asking $10 for my book. It's an ebook, so it's not printed. You'd have to print it yourself if you want to have it in a printed form, because I didn't want to invest money into it and then have feeling like I needed to get money back out. I just wanted to write the book, have it there, the information's there. It cost me nothing to do. Except my time, which was a huge amount. I took a whole part of my physical exercise. I just didn't do that for a year and a half, basically. Got out of shape and sat down in front of the computer and wrote. And now I'm getting back into my physical health, back into nature. So anyhow, that is the whole story of my journey. But I wanted to share it with you guys because the energies of the ley lines are very, very important. And I do think we're part of the stewardship of those ley lines and being responsible for them. So how do you be part of that journey? How do you be responsible for ley lines? You spend time on them. You know where they are. You sit and meditate on them. You try to absorb dark energy and change it into something positive. It's always about seeing that there is no problems, there's just solutions that have to be found. And having that positivity and then spending time on the ley lines, it basically, your ancestral memory will pick up your energy and it'll start to heal the planet, okay? That is really what we need to be doing, I think, on a huge level, but we need to have the information first put out there, and then we have to start creating like community groups where we actually spend time on these ley lines, because they're tied to rock formations like quartz and granite, and that's why it's so important, because there's an electrical energy that goes through when you spend time there. And there's vortexes everywhere, all over the planet. I focused a lot on just northeast North America, because there's so much rich history there with the whole invasion of white man and taking over the native lands, okay? And there's lots of history that's happened on the ley lines with the natives. So my book goes into a lot of history, but how it is always on the ley lines, and also on the meridian lines, the timelines, the Greenwich timeline and the original Paris meridian line, and why they shifted that from the French to the English, right? There's always this battle on who's controlling time, okay? Now, why is that important? Because in the end, you can escape time, okay, by just basically seeing it as an illusion, okay? You don't see it as, of course the time is going to carry on like this. This is what's happened before, and this will happen again. You can see the patterns, but you can also understand that your freedom is understanding that time is it's kind of like, it has patterns set from the planets, and so these energies have to happen anyhow. And basically you have to just learn to ride the wave, right? So that you don't get involved in it emotionally. And that's a big part of it. But it's really fun to understand the history. And so I'm going to go over the index of my book with you guys, so you kind of get a grasp of what it's all about. And I hope you guys take the time to check it out, because it was kind of downloaded to me. Like, I don't even remember everything that I wrote, right? It was coming to me in some type of higher realm information to keep telling me to look at this, look at that. And I do think that, in the Bible where they say, that when the moon turns red, it's the day of the Lord. I do think this is a very important part of the Bible, okay? And the moon turning red is in a lunar eclipse when the Earth is between the sun and the moon. Okay, so when the Earth is between the sun and the moon, you get an eclipse. Now, we're not getting an eclipse tomorrow. It's not an eclipse, but there's a full moon, right? And the Earth is in between the sun and the moon tomorrow. Okay, it's not an eclipse, but we're still in the center of it, because that's how it works when you have a full moon. Okay, so I feel that the lunar eclipses are so much more important than a solar eclipse, because a solar eclipse, the moon is in the middle and Earth is here and the sun is there, and so this, you get the little black dot on the sun, and that makes the solar eclipse. But when Earth is in the center, the heart of the two polarities of the male and feminine energies, this is when you can manifest. So I really hope you spend time outside tomorrow, light a fire, look into the Catherine wheel and how that was all an old folk tradition that people use. They used to set the fires on, the wheels on fire and roll them down the hill. Why? Because you can escape time. Okay, and this all ties into frequency and how energies can travel more during the summer solstice. Okay, so really take time tomorrow. It's very, very important. And check out my my website for my book and the index on there. And you can always just shoot me an email. You can't just buy it off the internet. I haven't paid for all that linkage on. It gets crazy, like they want like crazy money just to have those features on your website. Just send me an email, and you can either purchase it through Visa or PayPal, whichever way you prefer, if you do choose to go down the journey of the moon code. And I even tied into the Da Vinci Code in the book as well, okay? It's all part of this. Everything is part of it. And how the churches, some of the churches are built on old meridian lines and in Paris and stuff. So it's very, very fun. It's like a fun journey to see how the sky is related to the religion, okay? And there is no separation. Everything is one. Nothing is divided. So even the male and feminine energies, it's all one, and they have to be balanced. So take time tomorrow to balance those energies, and I hope you're all doing well. And I'm sorry I've been like AWOL for a little while, but things are getting more under control in my life, and I hope I'm going to get able to get back on, even if it's just for little chats like this, to kind of inspire you guys to keep spending time and learning about the sky, so that you can manifest what you need in your life, and shake out the old and bring in the new. So enjoy the summer solstice. Take care, guys. Bye. So the book is over 340 pages. The first 8 chapters tie us into first about the 7 fire prophecies, and then also the Pope's visit and the importance of that to Canada in 2022. We're talking about some of the ley lines, Kateri Tekakwitha and her importance in the Native culture. And then chapter 3 ties into the Knights of Templar and how that all ties into the Montreal Castle and the Montreal Ring that just got put up. And then chapter 4 is John the Baptist, the sacred oil, Leonard Cohen, and the St. Lawrence saint that, the main river coming into North America is named after, and why. And then chapter 5, we have the chakra ley line, the Hobomok, or Hobomok, which is a native culture that was worshipped, that ties to the sky in the Orion constellation and the Magna Carta. Chapter 6, I tied into Lafayette and the importance of his trail and why that was a ritual. And then the April 8th eclipse that we just had in 2024, and also 2024 Olympics, and how the rituals are all being done down the Seine River. And then chapter 7 is King St. Louis and the Canadian martyrs and St. Louis City, and how that's all tying into King St. Louis. And then chapter 8, the blood moon lunar eclipse math code. Now that's the secret code that nobody knows about. And I'm so excited to bring that to you guys because, like I said, it was just my perseverance that got me to find out what that code was. Chapter 9 is King Louis VIII and the Cathar Crusade. And then we're tying into a little bit with the Paris Meridian, Cardinal Richelieu and the effects of his whole term, what that did to North America. And also the cave, the Montreal cave, very important to the Templars. Okay, the chapter 10, we go back to the Paris Olympics again and the Seine River and Napoleon. And then chapter 11 is the vision of the cross, like of Constantine, the Medici lion, and Lorenzo the Magnificent. If you haven't watched the Medicis, the whole series on that family, you really need to watch that. It will really help you understand why I put so much of that in my book. The occultation of Orion and the mouth of truth. And chapter 12 is the Bastille Day solar storm, when the Bastille got, when they went in and took over the Bastille. Okay, I can't remember the name of it exactly, how they call that now, the storming of the Bastille. That's right. They use that with the storming of the capital. It's all tied in. Okay, then the island of Real. And then chapter 13 is Bernard at the Divine Comedy, and the prime number cross, and the grand cross, and the grand square. And why I tie that into the blood moon, that I believe is so important. Okay, now there's a lot of information, so it's not all like just history being revealed on a timeline. It's kind of jumping around, but you'll start to see how we're kind of reliving some of those emotions from the founding of the United States and the whole French Revolution, and how that all kind of went awry. Okay, and I do think there has to be some type of reckoning or balancing of what they were trying to do, and then how it got kind of taken over and went against the real point of it all, which was to have freedom from the control of the British, basically the British navies. Okay, so there's a lot of history to understand, and then everything becomes more clear. And then you can start to see how they use the same words, like the storming of the Bastille, the storming of the capital. They repeat, okay, because it's the same. It has the same energies, because that's what's happening in the sky. So let's look at some of the blood moon that I think is going to be very important. I'm not going to tell you the date, but we're going to check it out, and why the full moon today on the summer solstice is so important, because it's happening in the same spot in the sky. You can actually see the Milky Way running through here where the moon is. Then we have the Northern Cross, which will be at the top of the sky today. If you look up the night sky, you'll see Sirius there. And then the sun is opposite, right on the hammer of Orion, or the horn of Taurus. Okay, so that full moon is happening right in the Golden Gate, which is right by Sagittarius and Ophiuchus. Why is it called the Golden Gate? Because the Milky Way has like a little golden egg there. And you can see that the moon is on the arrow of Sagittarius. And the other constellation, like it's just come out of, is Ophiuchus. That's the upper house of Scorpio that they don't really talk about. But he's the healer, right? So it's like his foot is like right on the Golden Gate, right? His leg is, and he heals. Okay. Now, Scutum is a shield that actually, I'm going to go into the history of that constellation a little bit and the naming of it and why it's important. But that's basically your shield. That's your armor for heaven. Okay. So your heavenly armor is right there. So that's why this part of the sky is really important. And obviously it's not a blood moon eclipse because it's below the ecliptic red line there. But my book is about is the one that ends up being the lunar eclipse. okay? And what day it's on, you'll have to find out by reading my book. But anyhow, you have to understand the importance of this full moon today. And this is the lunar eclipse that I'm focused on in my book. And you can see, you know, you get the lunar eclipse when the moon is on the elliptical line, but you can see it's just above where it is today, okay, on the summer solstice. So this is very important because Sagittarius is Jupiter. That's the symbol for the Paris Olympics, right? And he is your higher mind. And when the sun is at the highest peak in the sky, the glory of the sun and the rays and, you know, the heavenly skies being, enlightened from the sun being the longest day of the year, is very, very important. So there's huge energies coming in today, and you have to take advantage of them and ground and just spend a little time, if you can, just even 5 minutes outside in the moonlight. Even if it's a cloudy, just spend time outside and ground tonight. It's very, very important. Try to balance those feminine and masculine energies in your meditation. In antiquity, this is from Urania's Mirror, the art of that. This is, you can see the shield there now. And you also have Taurus Poniatowski, which is a Polish king. And Scutum Sobieski is also named after a Polish king that was trying to have a power in the Commonwealth, like to be able to take control, right? So they were Christian kings, well, at least Sobieski was, and that's why that cross is on the shield. It's his shield. But let's break it down a little bit more to understand this part of the sky. Okay, so the original name of the shield was Scutum Sobieskianum, the shield of Sobieski, who was the comrade of victory of the Christian forces led by the Polish king John III Sobieski. Okay, and he was in the Battle of Vienna in 1683, and later this constellation was shortened to Scutum. Now, if you ever watched the 100 show, the planet that they go to that was kind of like where they were doing the memory switch into the microchips and stuff. You know, it was like this heavenly place, and it was, everything was perfect there, but almost too surreal, kind of like the Stepford Wives, you know. But the name of that planet was Scutum. So I know it's very, very important, and it has to do with the Chinese translation of what it means. Okay, so they're saying here that the Chinese also associated these stars with the battle of armor. Okay, so it's like your shield, right? It's like your armor that they talk about in the Bible, incorporating them into the larger astrum known as Tai Pian. This is a heavenly casque or helmet. But when I broke it down and learned the history, it goes a little bit more deeper. And I'm going to go into the Vietnamese translation of this part of the sky and see how spiritual this is. And with this full moon being there right now on the summer solstice, it's just like, wow, we're going to get some huge downloads from the higher realms, okay? And that's what Jupiter rules, the higher realms of the ninth house. It's your higher mind, and that's when you get downloads coming in. So very, very important solstice. So in the Vietnamese culture, the name Tien also holds great significance. It is a word derived from the Vietnamese word Tien, which means fairy or celestial being. In Vietnamese folklore, fairies are often portrayed as beautiful and benevolent beings who possess magical powers. The name Tien in this context represents the connection to the mystical and the enchanting world of fairies. In the Chinese culture, Tian is the name that has been used for centuries. It basically means heaven or sky. The heavens are considered to be a dwelling place of gods and celestial beings. Therefore, the name Tien carries the concept of transcendent and spirituality, symbolizing a connection between the mortals and higher powers. This interpretation highlights the reverence of awe associated with the name Tian. Now you'll know why this part of the sky is so important. Okay, so they're talking here about the name Tian was used to invoke awe-inspiring forces of the sun, moon, and stars, which were believed to shape the destiny of civilizations. Of course they do. We all know that. Across different ancient civilizations, Tian took on various interpretations and meanings. In some cultures, it represented the sun, the life-giving force that illuminated the world and often brought warmth and vitality. In others, Tian represented or symbolized the moon and its ethereal glow and mysterious cycles that govern the tides and influence humans' emotions. Yes, because Cancer is the only constellation ruled by the moon. It's the manger of Christ. And what does Cancer rule? The home, the ancestral memories. Okay, so this is why the Golden Gate is so important, because, you know, that's the part of the sky where the Milky Way gets bigger and the elliptic crosses there. Of course, we all know that's an important part of the sky. But we also have to understand that right now we have the sun and the moon in its glory at this time of year, and you know the moon is passing in that spot. You know, it's like, what's the chances, right? It's like there's a pattern there. You know, it's only that can only possibly happen with the same cycle, usually every 19 years or so. Okay, so but there are exceptions. But anyhow, the importance of it is that this is a very, very important time to take on these balancing higher realm energies. And being the summer solstice, go out and enjoy, light a bonfire, light a candle, and just enjoy the energies of this evening. It's going to be spectacular. Okay, so take care. Check out my book. Send me or my website, and then send me an email. You know, so let me know if you're interested. It's only $10. You know, so it's a lot of information for $10, and you know you can use the information to continually improve your health and your mindset, and understand how to take on all these energies and manifest what you need in your life. So happy summer solstice. Take care, guys. Bye. Miss.